hosting the Packers in this wild card matchup. This rivalry always brings you something special. 5.5 minutes to go in the game. Bears down 27-16. They were down 21-3 at one point. 4th and 8 here. And Williams, unbelievable, avoiding the rush, falls away, finds Rome Odunze on the downfield.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like it's historically one of the greatest throws I've ever seen.
I think it's the best throw in the history of the Chicago Bears.
And here's Williams finding Olamide.
And how it ends, that's the starting point.
Ensuing Bears possession, under 2 minutes to go. Williams drops back, connects with DJ Moore for the touchdown.
They take the tackle from the right side, move him over to the left, flip the tight end, and then they move that's like fake screen that the Commanders hit them on.
Action after Ben Johnson wins this one. You see him go up here to Matt LaFleur.
Get up, Ben.
He fell down. I didn't know that was going to be the highlight, and I love that it's in the highlight because it was one of my favorite things that happened. Chicago completing that comeback. Dan, what went wrong for the Packers, though, in this game?
It's hard to pinpoint, because
we've been talking about this. Like, we've mentioned this so many times.
Usually when this happens, right, there's a moment. There's a huge kick return. There's a pick six. There's something that flips it, and it was like this slow bleed. I'll go to the second half, and if you just watch the second half, a couple things. Injuries started to pile up. 6 penalties. That was a huge part. Also, they have this 21-3 lead. In the second half, their possessions averaged 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Yeah.
What you thought I was thinking?
1 minute and 50 seconds. Now, you'll love this. 31 pass attempts, 7 rush attempts. And so you're trying to figure out, like, what missed kicks. There's no question about it. The 2 drops, Jaden Reed and then Christian Watson go for 2. But I think it's just the whole management of that situation and not thinking the end game rather than just being in the moment, almost too aggressive out of Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, you look at that and you think, well, okay, we should have run the ball and tried to drain clock. But of their 6 runs, only 1 gained over a yard. Like, they couldn't run the ball, so you're in a tough spot. Yeah, I think I've seen some criticism. Oh, he took his foot off the gas. It's not what happened at all.
No.
I think the injuries on the offensive line really showed up.
Totally.
Tackle position, they got whooped, and that's what led to some of the grounding calls was Jordan Love under pressure. And then I actually thought on the 4th drive around the 4-minute mark, they were too aggressive in terms of throwing downfield instead of trying to possess the football. They averaged at the target was too long. Another thing I didn't love, they were so successful with play action in the first half. They just went away from it.
Yeah.
The first play of the game was play action, and I believe he took a sack. And then after that, I don't even remember.
And they were
again
just
from
hitting
center.
man coverage. Like Chicago just played man a ton.
I'll
And
get
so
that,
to your point, it was often like, hey, just go make a play down the field rather than trying to scheme guys to separate.
Yeah, you saw that list of all the Packers players that are out. That's certainly a piece of this. But, Marcus, I know Caleb Williams is making unreal throws, but how much of this is on the Packers defense for not finding a way to limit this Bears offense?
A lot of it, undisciplined. And the play that obviously stands out is the rollout for the pass that you ever seen with Rashawn Gary. But there's also not being gap sound. You get funnels on check downs that they let Mononga out to get a critical third down conversion in certain situations. So from a defensive standpoint, it seemed like Green Bay was trying to make the big play instead of just playing straight up defense and making Chicago go the long, hard way. That's what I kept thinking. And then Loveland just destroyed them. Like it was one of those situations where when he was in the line, I absolutely think they paid too much attention to him, to be honest with you. It felt like a panic almost. And I know Hafley likes to bring pressure. I know he want to create quarterbacks with angst. That quarterback in particular, you want to make him throw from the pocket as much as you can. We've seen Caleb make those plays all year long. I just felt like at times, and y'all ain't going to believe this, that they were a little bit too aggressive in Green Bay instead of making them go the long, hard way.
Well, I think the thing that changed for me in the second half was even though Chicago sped things up and they were hurrying and they understood they needed to score, they still stuck to the game plan. Much like when Mina was speaking about the Philadelphia Eagles not doing the things to attack the San Francisco 49ers, weaknesses defensively, we saw Chicago continue to do that. And yes, Caleb made some plays that were just wild plays, getting outside of the pocket, creating and extending, but they knew that they'd get too high. They knew how to attack that with sail routes and outside floods. And I felt like all of those things, even taking checkdowns to DeAndre Swift and running the football when you had the opportunities, they continued to play even though they were the team behind, and Green Bay didn't.
Edger and Cooper went out of that game. Ben Johnson drew a big circle around his replacement, those in-game adjustments.
But that's also who Ben was in Detroit, too.
Yeah.
They would never get away from their plan.
Can I just make a real quick point? That handshake, Matt LaFleur's little brother coaches for who they're playing this weekend, and his best friend Sean McVay coaches against Ben Johnson this weekend. That story's not done.
Everybody keep an eye on that. We got a lot more coming your way here on NFL Live. A very windy Pittsburgh. That may
in the air. Meanwhile, also, the Packers head coach, Matt LaFleur, after the season ended this weekend, is now headed into the last year of his contract. And that becomes the touchstone point where the Packers and Matt LaFleur have to figure out what they want to do. I've been told that the Packers are trying to work out an extension for Matt LaFleur. We'll see whether the two sides can get it done. If they can, they go on together. If they can't, then there are a whole host of questions that come along about whether or not he would wind up on another team, whether the Packers would want compensation in return, whether they would just let him go. But these two sides are trying to figure it out, and I would imagine we should hear something here in the next 24 to 48 hours, whether or not they can figure out a long-term extension to keep Matt LaFleur in Green Bay.
Thanks to Adam. More from you coming throughout this show. I will say, listen, I get it. You cannot lose the way that the Packers lost, but Matt LaFleur is a really good coach.
Yeah.
What do you make, Peter, of his job even being in question?
Two things could be true. He could be a really good coach, and you could have an egregious end-of-game performance that they had in Chicago on Saturday night. I will say this. Adam has detailed this well. Yes, they are talking. It is also worth noting that last year's first-year head coaches broke the bank. Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, they're making much more than what Matt LaFleur is making right now. Matt LaFleur is going to want to be matching those guys' salaries. The Green Bay Packers historically do not break the bank on coaching salaries.
Interesting.
So Ed Policy, who is now in this new president role and was really one of the fellow people with Goody to say, let's go get Micah Parsons. Let's change the way we're looked at in Green Bay. Let's make an aggressive move. He is going to be on the other end of Matt LaFleur and his agent on this one. And it has to be both sides of the table here. It's not just, hey, LaFleur begging, can I come back? Because, yes, to Adam's point, as much as we're going after Harbaugh and Stefanski, whether you like it or not, if Matt LaFleur is on the market, there are 8 teams looking to hire a head coach. He will have opportunities, too, and he will make that money.
I'm going to say this. If they come to me and they talking about, hey, give me that Ben Johnson money, I'm going to be like, you watched them last 2 times you played him? I can't give you that.
Okay, well, let's go to that, right? Let's remind you exactly what happened in this game and the collapse that we're referencing for the Packers. Caleb Williams and the Bears mentioning potential changes for this Philly staff. Adam, what do we know about what could happen on that side?
Laura, anytime a team loses a game the way the Eagles did yesterday and goes through a season the way that Philadelphia did this past season, there are going to be changes to the coaching staff. Everybody believes Nick Sirianni's safe, not a question there. So the change then, obviously, and the scrutiny goes to the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. A lot of people around the league believe, obviously, his job's on the line here. The Eagles have made changes at that spot before when they've struggled, and it wouldn't be a surprise if they did it again. Meanwhile, the John Harbaugh sweepstakes are expected to heat up again this week. He's been assessing his options. At some point in time, he's expected to speak with the Giants, the Falcons, the Titans, maybe the Browns. We'll see whether those interviews occur in those teams' buildings or whether he hosts people on visits to Baltimore, but that is up